Hey, it's John McBride at the Droning Company. We're here with Elistair, actually at the Texas Robotics Summit, hanging out and doing that. And we have Kyle Mell?
Yes, sir.
Yes, Kyle Mell from Elistair, going to kind of walk us through a little bit of what you guys have been doing. You know, I'm very familiar with the tether. I carried that at Army West when I was there.
Awesome.
Carried the brand. I knew a little bit about it, but you guys have gotten a lot further as far as development and creation, even making your own drone, it looks like. So,
yes, sir.
Yeah, so tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, absolutely. So today we demoed, and we've had this all week. We have the Orion 2.2 Tactical Edition. That is our newest iteration of the Orion family of products. Today we're flying the Next Vision Raptor, which is your ADX 40 times digital, 40 times optical zoom on that. We've got our standard version here, which is our out-of-the-box version, if you will. It's your 4.4 pound payload capability, and then we also have a Orion 2.2 and a heavy lift version, which is going to be as simple as unscrewing these arms, screwing in our heavy lift arms, which are slightly bigger motors, bigger props, arms about to here, and then on that platform we're able to get to 11 pounds payload.
And why would you need 11 pounds for a specific payload you guys make, or is it more for maybe integration?
Good question.
Both, a little bit?
Yes, mainly for integration. We're not a payload company, don't desire to be a payload company at the moment. So one thing to keep in mind with the Orion is, you know, modularity is built at its core, right? Yep. We want to be able to take these payloads out, put in what the customer requires, and not have them tied to, you know, whatever flavor of payload that we choose. It's everything we do is customer driven. It's, you know, what do you want to do? What is the scale and everything that, you know, the grand plan of what we're trying to do, and let's work together to accomplish the mission. I'm sure
it would be a lot easier also in manufacturing. You know, if you have one core body, you've got arms that you can put on. You don't have to try to redesign, remake, redo. You got it. You know, it helps a lot with that.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so a little bit more about the demo and all the people that were here. It went great. You know, it looked like aircraft was running great. You had a great amount of telemetry on there. What are kind of some of the things that like we have here that helps out with operation? You know, because it's not the standard drone.
Yes,
As
sir.
you said, you just kind of set it, forget it, and then your camera operating. So what are the other things you guys have here?
So let's start with the GCS. Panasonic Toughbook. A typical setup for that, we're gonna run Ethernet up into our safety tether station, which is gonna be the connection going from the GCS all the way up to the drone hardwire. From a telemetry standpoint, one of the main things that we're monitoring is that power draw that's going from your power supply, whether it's a generator, whether it's shore power, or, you know, massive batteries, whatever you're running it off of. We're monitoring how much power the Orion is consuming. Safe space is anywhere from 1,200 to 1,500 consistent supply of watts going up to the drone. If we get any higher than that, we need to monitor our telemetry that's on board on the GCS, which is going to be, you know, your gyroscope to see if we're wobbling at all. Could be wind speeds up at 300 foot that we're not feeling here on the ground. Sure. And one thing to also keep in mind with tethered flight is we do have that tether that's going all the way up. So we are worried about, you know, wind speeds and telemetry at 300 feet. Yep. Exactly, but there is, you know, our baseline is 20.5 grams per meter weight. So there is, you know, that instance to where, you know, maybe wind strongest at 150 feet, but we're at 300 feet. So we just need to monitor, you know, wind and telemetry going all the way up. Very interesting. So the radio, I mean, so emergency. If there's an emergency here, you know, because everybody asks that. What happens if something fails? You know, what if the generator stops? What if the tether cracks or breaks, or what happens? So what does it look like for kind of more of an emergency if I have no more tether power? You know, what's going to go on? Great question. Redundancy built at its core, right? One of the main things we took on in R&D and development is making sure there's backups, because it's, you know, almost like anything in life, right? It's not if, but when. Yeah. So we need to be prepared for that. So your first pathway is the hard wire going from the GCS up to the Orion. Second pathway is Wi-Fi if something happens to your tether. Third redundancy is your RC control. So if everything else fails, we're able to flip a switch and we're able to land and control manually. We also have the hexcopter design. So if one of our props goes out, we can make that landing. And we also have a parachute on board. So when you're Ethernet connected to everything and something like that were to happen, you had a full disconnect, you're likely going to lose your video
telemetry, would that stop, or is
yes.
that, you know, but you're hoping that you're not too far away, that you can still just confidently put it down.
Correct.
Get it landed, no problem.
Yeah. So if we see anything, you know, wonky going on, if you will, if power gets too high or something happens to the feed and it's, you know, an extended period of time, you know, let's just take over manual control. Let's land. Let's see what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's, you know, if possible, let's send it back up.
Pretty easy.
Operation.
Yeah, pretty easy. Well, again, you know, the concept of using tethered drones, primarily extending flight time, and we just want to get it up in the air and keep it there forever. I did see and observe a little bit of this happening during some of these riots that we had a couple years ago. People being silly and just putting the drone up in the air, watching an area and watching a spot. Any other specific use cases that you guys have seen that guys are using this? You know, this idea of a tethered drone?
Great question. So one thing to keep in mind with tether is it's a version of a mast, right?
Yes.
Because we're built to go up and down on the Orion platform, right? We have that geofence of around where it takes off. You know, we can monitor, we can yaw, we can move to the left or right slightly, but we're focused on the payload, and so we really want to focus and capture that video feed. So from that standpoint, yes, going up and down, but other use cases, you know, obviously persistent ISR. That's the easiest use case. That's almost what we think of when we think of a drone. We think of camera, right? EOIR capabilities out of the box today. What we're seeing more of is having that radio on the bottom of it for your variable height antenna or your comms relay in areas where, you know, there's no comms, or say a natural disaster happens, you know, the local tower goes down. Yeah. We send these guys up, now we've got comms. Less common, but also still happening. Counter UAS, your detection devices, things of that nature. Two most common, I would say, are your variable height antenna and your ISR.
That's great. Yeah. And then you guys are working on, I mean, you've got your own bird, but you've also, you know, been making for other OEM manufacturers as well. So kind of working on with DJI, Autel. I don't know if you have an Autel one. I think you do. But yeah, you have other products that actually help with already designed drones that are kind of agnostic to be able to do that, right?
Correct. Yes, sir. So we have our safety, which is your TAN tether station. Requires a little bit more power, puts out a little bit more power for your bigger birds. We also make the Light T, which is your more portable, I would say. It's your end-to-end system from a tether integration standpoint. You don't need to remove it from the box. You flip open the Peli case, you connect your air module to your drone, and then you're ready to tether your free flyers. Two most common in that stance are your DJI, your M30 and your M300. We also integrate with 40 commercially available drones today. So we're continuing to add to that and stay, you know, relevant and helpful to different public safety agencies that, you know, if they already have a drone, let's get the easiest path possible for them to get persistent flight. Yeah.
So, and then you didn't bring it, but one more thing I want to talk about is you kind of have a drone in the box solution as well, correct? So a little mobile, you know, put it in a vehicle, back of the truck or something like that, and you can actually deploy that, sit at station, and so that should be some pretty exciting stuff.
I am very excited about you know, once we get that. Our version of the first version of the Chronos is being able to do demos and have customers understand what the mobile capability of that guy is. You know, it's a little bit smaller drone than the Orion. It's a quadcopter. It's going to land directly in its nest. It's able to fly with your vehicle. We've got dampers on the bottom. We're continuing to add to R&D and testing early tech, right? It came out in Q3, Q4 of last year, so we're continuing to spin up, get feedback, understand what's relevant for your public safety or your DoD or your federal agencies, and really build towards those customer requirements.
Yeah. All right. Well, I mean, cool stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
I think there's definitely a place for the tethers. I think there's a market for that, and hopefully to see that grow. You know, that you guys are doing a little bit more of that. So where can people find you if they want a little bit more information?
Elistair.com.
That's easy.
Elistair.com. I'm on LinkedIn. Kyle Mel, silent H. Our office, I don't know if I mentioned it, we're in Wilmington, North Carolina, headquartered in Lyon, France, and we work closely with those guys and you know, run our U.S. side of the house out of our Wilmington office, but we're around. We're at shows like these. I think this is the third year we've came. And we're continuing to do events like this to, you know, not only show off our tech, but understand what the customer and the public safety, you know, officials and boots on the ground, what they need and what they're seeing and get in their world.
100%. Well, Kyle, thanks for like hanging out, telling us about us. And again, Elistair.com if you guys want any information on that. I know you have a couple of resellers you work with as well, so we've got all kinds of places you can try to get some information.
Yeah.
But yeah, get a hold of Kyle on LinkedIn if you need him. So
cool.
Appreciate your time.
I appreciate you.
Thanks.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
guys.